of eminent global leaders from the different walks of life. And if I may just start with the heads of government, international organizations, and royalty, we have in our midst His Excellency Alain Berset, the President of the Swiss Confederation, His Excellency Mokgweetsi Masisi, President of the Republic of Botswana, His Excellency Khatmagin Batulga, President of Mongolia, His Excellency Hage Geingob, President of the Republic of Namibia, His Excellency Samdech Aka Mohal Senapedai Teko Hun Sen, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Cambodia, His Excellency Moshoae Thomas Thabane, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho, Her Royal Highness Princess Astrid of Belgium, Her Excellency Espinosa Garcias, the President of the General Assembly of the United Nations, His Excellency Sarkisian, President of the Republic of Armenia, and the President of the International Parliamentarians Union, Guevas Baron, my closest neighbor. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Your Highness, you are all welcome to this 10th edition of the UNCTAD World Investment Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, as I welcome you to the Palais des Nations for the 2018 World Investment Forum, now marking our 10th anniversary, this year's WIF has attracted record numbers of participants, more than 6,000 participants, more than a dozen heads of state and government, more ministers from more than 50 countries, more than 50 CEOs of large international companies, thousands of representatives of the private sector, from stocks exchanges, institutional investors, sovereign wealth funds, impact investors, investment promotion agencies, accounting experts, entrepreneurs, the list goes on, and partners from across the spectrum beyond the private sector, governments, United Nations organizations, other multilateral and regional organizations, development banks, academia, representatives of youth, representatives of civil society. Over the past 3 years, since the triple promise of 2015, made by global leaders in Addis, New York, and Paris, and indeed echoed in other capitals of the world, we in the United Nations system have been loudly calling for closer engagement with the private sector to further the most ambitious development agenda ever made by man and woman. Many of us have talked a lot about the importance of private sector participation in fulfilling the missing trillions in SDG annual financing shortfalls. Many of us at these meetings continue to talk to ourselves about engagement. But the entrepreneur, the private sector, civil societies have not been in the fora where we're talking these things. But I'm humbled today to see here in Geneva the thousands of business leaders coming together with politicians, thought leaders, visionaries to walk the talk and how to scale up private investment in the SDGs. We at UNCTAD are very proud of this record turnout and growing strength of our World Investment Forum as the premier multilateral platform for bridging the investment and development divides. UNCTAD's convening power, as part of the UN convening power, has established this forum to facilitate high-level dialogue between government heads and corporate leaders, academic experts and civil society leaders. The remarkable profile and turnout of this year's World Investment Forum bears witness to this critical need for global platform to tackle investment in sustainable development. There is a simple and urgent reason why so many of you have convened here with us this week. Today, just 10 years after the World Investment Forum first began promoting solutions for better mobilization of resources at an UNCTAD conference in Accra, Ghana, the global investment landscape is being remade before our very eyes, and the development agenda is more at risk than it has been for a generation. Today, just 10 years after the global financial crisis began to alter the global economic landscape, and 3 years into the most ambitious development agenda ever, the demand for tangible actions to channel investment into sustainable development for progress is greater than ever before. 10 years after the crisis, FDI flows still have not returned to their pre-crisis levels. FDI was down again last year, and our latest figures for the first half of 2018 suggest a continued decline this year. On the brighter side, we have seen a slight uptick in planned greenfield investments, for example in Africa, but for much of the last decade, we have seen largely an investment landscape driven by consolidation and repatriation of profits through mergers and acquisition activities, rather than productive investment that can deliver sustainable development, particularly in the countries and sectors most in need. This year, our World Investment Report provided some of the thoughtful stock-taking of the last 10 years of change in landscape of investment, showing how global production networks are shortening and shifting. The return to international investment has been declining, and the rate of expansion of global value chains has slowed. Faced with technological innovations and the new so-called fourth industrial revolution, international production is shifting gradually from tangible cross-border production networks to intangible value chains. The uncertainties and disruption of this medium-term shift in the global investment landscape, which has been underway over this first decade of the World Investment Forum's existence, has in the past 2 years been compounded by the more immediate threat of declining trust in globalization and in global institutions particularly. Some point to the resurgence in populist and nativist politics as a response to those middle classes who have been left behind by globalization, mainly in the richer countries. But mounting trade war of the past year suggests we may be, in fact, witness a new geopolitical struggle for leadership at the global technology frontier. Indeed, over the past 10 years, more than 100 countries have taken industrial policy action, often with the goal of harnessing the technological changes underway in the world economy today. Faced with these major challenges, and faced with the most uncertainty in the global economy than we have seen since this forum was founded, at the outbreak of the financial crisis, this year's WIF must achieve more than talk. The stakes today are just too high. Concrete policies, strategies, and solutions must be forged here across the wide spectrum of investment issues, international investment agreements, investment promotion and business facilitation, capital markets, intellectual property, entrepreneurship, the digital economy, and accounting standards. We seek new solutions for driving more and better investment into the countries and sectors that need it most. We seek new solutions for countering the uncertainty and inward-looking perspectives, as well as the technological challenges and growing divides which are witnessing worldwide today, to refocus political attention and corporate leadership on the opportunities rather than the pitfalls that the global economy can offer. Confronting these challenges is enormously important for global prosperity. Over the past 2 decades, cross-border investment activity has effectively become the engine of global production growth. Job creation and technological transfer has directed almost 80% of international trade. The World Investment Forum can help fill this void we see today in international economic policy making. By helping to bring about gradual reforms in international investment policies, making them more sustainable and sustainable development friendly, we can show that soft policy making on key issues of international economic policy can still be done successfully. The width and the array of top policymakers and large audiences it attracts is evidence that demand for international engagement on key issues in international economic policy making still exists, at a time when support for multilateralism is not always that evident. At a practical level, your deliberations this week must ensure that good policies do not remain in the textbook or on the drawing board, but are enacted on the ground to drive investment activity in a manner that is inclusive, productive, and sustainable. Through your joint efforts, pooling innovations, expertise, and resources, you must increase together what we can increase for our firepower to materially contribute to sustainable development. Every one of us can play our part in helping advance an action-oriented, solutions-driven investment policy agenda geared towards delivering Agenda 2030. Finally, as we enter this week, action is worth reminding ourselves that our purpose is shared. We are working to build a sustainable, inclusive future. This means our efforts should be mutual. The challenges we face are common concerns. The solutions we seek should supersede narrow interests. Together, we'll do more to go further. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
I thank the UNCTAD Secretary General, Dr. Kituyi, for his opening statement. I now have the honor to invite His Excellency, Mr. Ilan Beset, the President of the Swiss Confederation.
Messieurs les Présidents et chefs d'État,
Mr. President, Your Royal Highness, Mr. President of the UN General Assembly, Director General of UNOG, Secretary General of UNCTAD, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Swiss government, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you here in Geneva, and I'd like to thank the organizers for this 10th World Investment Forum. And I'd like to especially thank the Secretary General of UNCTAD, Mr. Mukisa Kituyi, for inviting me to be here. The Swiss Confederation is very proud to be hosting this World Investment Forum here in Geneva, the biggest world meeting related to the elaboration of investment-related policies. The presence of the international community in Geneva is something that we hold close to our hearts, and Switzerland is very committed to this and also committed to work closely with international organizations. Now, to bring governments, NGOs, universities, and other representatives of civil society to promote an economy of sustainability